Hello guys, and welcome back to another video. Now, today's Sunday the 17th of May, and you join me in this kind of relaxation area that we're setting up on the KB trading floor. I want to get a couple of couches and a mini sort of library and stuff like that for this area, because I think it creates a nice little space where the traders can step away from their desk and grab a coffee with maybe one of the senior traders or have a chat about the trading and stuff like that. So yeah, now today's video, I don't have like a script or any kind of structure that I want to go about it in, but today's going to be mostly a talking video, and it's going to be kind of me presenting a little bit of a story, if you haven't guessed by the title of the video, a story about a drawdown that I recently went through. And so today's video is going to be a personal one, guys. I'm going to be talking about my personal experience with a drawdown as a professional and as a full-time trader, what it was like going through a drawdown and how I got through it. So I'm going to take you through the full story and give you some tips along the way, and hopefully if you're going through a period of drawdown or something like that, it can be of encouragement to you. And maybe if you're not and you're doing well in your trading, it can get you prepared for this should it ever happen to you. Something I want to preface is that I understand many of you may have people you look up to in the trading industry who never seem to take losing periods. They always seem to be running really hot and doing really well, and good on them. But I personally don't really buy into that. All of the traders I look up to, people who have mentored me in this industry who have 25 years experience in the markets, all have went through significant periods of drawdown at some point in their career. And I've been trading since 2015, and this period came around this year between January and March. So 3 month drawdown period after 5.5 years in the markets. And it really caught me off guard. And so I wanted to make this video now that I'm out the other end of that. Thankfully I'm out the other end of that drawdown period. I wanted to make this video to address it because it's something that not a lot of people speak about. So that's what I'm going to be doing in this video. I think it's important that I kind of define what I'm talking about when I say a drawdown period. I'm not talking about a period where you've had a few losing trades or you're not getting a good read on the markets. What I'm talking about is a period where you're getting a good read on the markets, the market conditions are good for the strategy you trade, but you aren't making money. And this can be for a multitude of reasons. I'm not talking about people who are just starting out their trading career, beginners who are struggling to find consistency. I'm talking about people who've been consistent. For me, I've been trading for 5.5 years when this drawdown period came around, and I'd never experienced anything like it. Now, in that 3 month period, I managed to lose about 12 grand. Now, my overall trading capital is 80, so it's only 15% of my overall trading capital, which is still significant, but I keep 40,000 of that in my account, so it's actually 30% drawdown on my account. Now, I don't risk 1%, I risk 2%, so it's not like I've had 30 losing trades in a row or anything like that, but 15% is still a really significant drawdown, guys, and it's something that I wasn't prepared with. If you imagine you go from a £40,000 account to a £30,000 account to then being, into the 20s, that can take a huge psychological impact on a trader, especially if you've never experienced it before, and especially if you're not prepared for it. So that's where tip number one comes in. Be prepared, right? You get on a plane. What do? They prep you for a crash. They prep you for landing on water. They talk you through the procedures. In our office, we do fire drills. In the heat of the moment, you're not relying on your decision making and your thinking and stuff like that to get you out of that situation. You already have played through it. So tip number one, have realistic expectations. Understand that it's normal and that these drawdown periods can and will happen, and prepare for them. Simple as, just be prepared. I've coached many traders through periods of drawdown, funded FTMO traders, I coach traders on our trading floor, but myself, I'd never experienced it, so it becomes a whole another ball game. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through that story of how this came about, and really I have to take you all the way back to November. Despite this drawdown period starting in January, November was where the regularities in my trading started to appear. So the first week in November, I had 3 1-hour losses. Now that's very rare for me. Typically, I'll lose half an hour on a trade, 0.6 of an hour. I can take a 1 hour loss, but to take 3 is a bit unusual. So I take 3 1 hour losses and I'm down about 2.5k. So, it's nothing serious. I understand that can happen. I think, whatever, it's just a bit of a couple of losses in a row. Now, the issue kind of popped up, and, this is something I'll link back to how I kind of diagnosed this, but the second week in November, I took the whole week off of the markets. My girlfriend, Neve, had, booked a hotel in Scotland for me for my birthday. So I decided to take a week off and spend some time with her, for my birthday. Now, taking a week completely away from the markets is not the right thing to do, especially if you've had, some losses or whatever. Now, why is that? Well, it's a good idea to stop actively trading, but you still need your finger on the pulse. You still need to be looking over what you've done wrong and trying to work out what the problem is. The analogy I would give you is like, imagine you're doing renovations on, your apartment or your flat or whatever. This is something that I've said to all the guys in here. And you burst a pipe, right? And it starts spraying water everywhere. The right thing to do is to stop doing renovations, right? And to focus on that problem, to solve it, and then you can either go back to doing renovations or do whatever you want. The wrong thing to do is to say, okay, I burst a pipe, I'm going to stop doing renovations and just leave for a week. I'm going to go on holiday for a week. And so to bring that back into the trading world, basically what I'd done was a few bad losses, didn't really know why, disappear for a week. Now in that week, some setups that I'd called to the members from the prior week, some really good setups in the markets, actually played out and made some really good returns in the week that I'm away from the markets. That's just typical, right? So I have a week off, I'm feeling refreshed. I'm also feeling energetic and excited to get back into the markets, which isn't good. And I'm aware that I've missed some opportunity. So I've lost money 1 week, missed opportunity the next week. Third week, I'm absolutely buzzing to get back in. In the third and fourth week in November, I take that loss to 5.5k. It's from 2.5 to 5.5. So I lose another 3k in 2 weeks. Now at the end of that, I'm thinking, yeah, this ain't good. Now coming into December, again, I'm not letting those losses affect my state of mind or anything like that, but I am conscious that September, October, we took on junior prop traders, we took on 3 traders, and I'm working with them. They saw me have 2 really good months in September and October, and then they see me take this horrendous month in November. Those of you who follow us, you'll know we do an end of week presentation every Friday where we talk about the trades we've taken for that week. And so they've seen over the past few weeks that I've taken some bad losses, and that's starting to play on my mind a little bit. Is what are these guys thinking? Is that going to be negative for their trading? Are they going to be demotivated by that? Whatever, right? Because I'm trying to be a leader at the same time, and it's totally new to me running a prop firm. So coming into December, I have 2 pretty good weeks in December, and over 2 trades on one on the DAX and one on silver, I make back pretty much more than 3R on each of those trades, basically recovering all of November's losses and bringing me up into profit, which on the face of it you would think that's pretty good. Now the issue is that's pretty out of character for me. My P&L usually does this, it's a slight, it's a gradual increase with the occasional kind of up and down, but it'd be very rare for my P&L to go bang, swing down, swing up. So there's a big P&L swing there. Big swings in your P&L or in your equity curve, that's really indicative of a low strike rate. Typically a high strike rate will look like this, small swings in the equity curve. These kind of big swings, if you have a positive expectancy but a low strike rate, you'll be used to that. I have a positive expectancy and a relatively high strike rate, above 60%. So the swings aren't too high, too big, So I get a little indication that something's a little bit off there. But I'm still getting a good read on the markets and stuff like that. Now, I take 2 weeks off for Christmas. One of the traders on our floor, he moved up from England with his girlfriend, and they couldn't get back because of lockdown. So they spent Christmas and New Year with my family. Had a really relaxing time, it was really great. And then, coming into January, I'm ready to come into the markets pretty aggressive. historically January is a really good month for me, so I'm starting to think, I'll come in really hot and I'll make good returns in January, as I historically have. January ends up being a total write-off, really, really poor month. February is a pretty crap month as well, and then March is poor as well. Now, I'm not going to take you week by week what happened throughout those months, but what you do need to know is we had scheduled the 1st of March as the day we opened the office that we're currently in now, right? So we're taking on an office double the size, we're taking on 6 junior traders, and so in the first 3 months of this year, I was, going through applications, I was holding interviews with traders, I was, buying equipment, sorting out all the legal stuff for running a prop firm, and so there was a lot of kind of external pressures on my trading that I've never had before. That was one of the kind of triggers for going into this period of drawdown, is just having added stress that I'm not used to. I'm not used to trying to perform with those added stresses. It's hard enough trying to be a full-time trader and make an income consistently. That's a tough job in and of itself. It's a tough job trying to run a good business. It's a tough job trying to coach and educate traders. It's a tough job trying to run a prop firm. Trying to do all of them at the same time is really a recipe for disaster. And, I dealt with the weight of that all at once. Now, please don't take this as me complaining or anything like that, guys. I'm incredibly blessed and grateful to be where I am, and, I have a comfortable life and stuff like that. But I'm just explaining the kind of the factors that led to this drawdown and what made it worse. At the time, I was already talking with a trading coach and psychologist called Steve Ward. You may know him, he's got a handful of excellent trading books out there, and he's coached poker players, but now he coaches hedge fund managers, portfolio managers, 7 and 8 figure prop traders. The guy really knows his stuff, and I was looking to get him in to do some coaching and some workshops with our traders. And so I struck a conversation with him about the difficulties I was having, and I decided to take Steve on as my coach. And it was one of the best decisions I made, because we really started to work on some excellent strategies and stuff like that to improve my mindset and to work around these difficulties I was having. It's all good and well saying I'm a trader and I have no emotions and I'm the best trader in the world and stuff like that, but you have to drop the ego and recognize when something isn't working and look to the help of others, right? I've never traded and ran a business and a prop firm and all that at the same time, so I really decided to lean on the experience and the knowledge of someone like Steve to help me through this period of drawdown, and that I sort of felt was coming as a consequence of those factors. And I still firmly believe that it did come as a consequence of all those kind of external stresses. Now, the next one is diagnose what caused it. So me and Steve worked with, well, what has changed? Have the markets changed? Well, I noted that all of the setups, all the analysis that I was doing for members and all the coaching, all those setups were still playing out. I just wasn't capitalizing on them. So, okay, the markets haven't changed. And the strategy still works. I know that categorically. The next thing is, have you changed? Well, potentially there's some room for that. What else has changed? Well, of course, we've taken on a new office. There's all these pressures and stresses and responsibilities. What you don't realize, I said to Steve, I feel like I've almost got a split personality where I'm one person when I'm teaching and I'm one person when I'm trading, and sometimes they get mixed up. And he said, that is exactly right. The you that you bring to the pub with your mates is not the same you that you bring round your mum's house when it's her birthday, right? You're a different person, and you need to know when to be what you. You know what you to bring to each situation in life. You need to bring that into trading. So I'm a leader and an educator and stuff like that on the trading floor when I'm helping out the guys. I'm a bit louder. I'm kind of getting everyone psyched up and all that kind of stuff. When I go and sit at my desk, I can't be that guy anymore. I need to be focused. I need to be quiet. I need to be driven. I need to be sort of zoned in. So it's different you. So there's a little bit of crossover there between managing my kind of personality and stuff like that. So that's another tip in and of itself is make sure that you're bringing the right you to your desk every morning. This is especially hard if you trade from home. If you trade from home and, your significant other is leaving for work in the morning and, you have an argument or something like that, that you can't be the same you that sits down at your desk to trade, because it's going to be emotional, it's going to be quite sensitive and that kind of thing. The you that sits down at the desk needs to be a focused and a driven you. It's not normal to not have emotions. It's not normal to be emotionless and stuff like that. But your trading you has to have, emotions have to be at the back of the back of the bench effectively. Whereas when you're the you that's with family and friends and stuff, emotions need to be a bit further forward and a bit more, you need to be able to harness them to to have a better experience with family, with friends. And then in trading, you need to be able to withdraw them slightly. So there's a slightly different person that you bring to each situation. Now, something that's important to note is that different things in your life take up different real estate in your brain. Family life takes up some real estate, work life takes up some real estate, personal life takes up some real estate. And you will know this yourself. How many times do you go home from work and you bring work? You hear people saying that, leave it at work, don't bring work home with you. What that is something's happened at work and work's now taken over some real estate in your brain and it's affecting family life, or vice versa. Something happens at home and you bring that to work with you, and that family life is taking up too much real estate in your brain. So you need to be able to categorize that. Now, one of the methods that myself and Steve worked on for doing this is coming in the morning and keeping a journal. So I have a little journal, it's an A6 booklet, and I call it my psychology journal, right? And I'll just write in the morning how I feel coming into that day, what's on my mind. And Steve calls it a download, right? So download your thoughts and your feelings into that, and then you can close it and put it to the side. It's there, you're not ignoring it. This is something that people try and do, and this is the next tip is, don't suppress or hide emotions or feelings. They are there. Recognize them, accept them, work around them. Don't just hide them, right? When you try and hide them, what you do is you use all your energy trying to suppress and trying to hide that emotion. And it tires you out and it weighs down on you. So get it out there, have a chat with someone about it, a friend, if you have a trading buddy or something like that, talk to them about it. But more importantly, get it down on paper, write it down, download it, see it there, accept it, recognize it, put it to one side. It doesn't have to define you. That argument doesn't have to define your day. Just put it down on paper, slide it aside. You're human, accept and recognize that. The next tip is to be present, focus on being present. Now that sounds a bit cliche and stuff like that, and when there's all these things happening at once, you become more susceptible to emotions, you become more susceptible to stress, and so you have to do things to deal with that. So the next thing myself and Steve introduced was breathing exercises. So I'll whack on my headphones, the sort of noise cancelling headphones, whack them on in the morning, close my eyes for 10-15 minutes before I trade, and focus on breathing exercises, simply to bring my focus to my breathing, right? Bring your focus to you, to your desk, and block out everything else. What it does is it helps train your focus. It's focus attention training and breathing kind of go hand in hand, but you bring your awareness and your focus to the present, to this present moment, and you let everything else go. You've written it down, now bring your focus to here. So I do box breathing. I'm sure you can look into that if you're unfamiliar with it. Some kind of breathing exercises, whether you meditate or whatever, just something to kind of, you've come in the morning, you're excited to go onto the charts, just something to step back, just take a breath and just kind of relax and get into a relaxed focus, right? Where there's nothing else on your mind. Another thing that we introduced was writing down your thoughts and feelings going into a trade. If it's a psychological issue that's put you in drawdown or that's kind of continuing this drawdown, then you need to really focus on your psychology. So before going into every trade now, I fill out what I call an execution sheet. All the traders have them now. You write down your feelings and your thoughts about the trade. So feelings are things from within you, thoughts are objective truths, right? There's another way of saying that. So you may say, I feel like I'm being greedy with this target. I feel like this stop is too tight. That'd be your feelings. And then the thoughts might be, this target, you have the statistics to say this is the correct target. this stop fits your trading plan. So there's kind of objective truths to answer those feelings. So really to gain an understanding of what's going on in your head, what's going on, what's on your mind, and what you're feeling before entering a trade. And that will help eradicate a lot of trades that are impulsive. It will help eradicate a lot of trades that are, I'll occasionally get thoughts like, I feel like this could work. I feel like this trade could work because I can see it and it looks really good. But then when I go into that thoughts, kind of column in my notes, it's, okay, well, what's the objective truths are? I either don't have the stats to suggest this trade will work, or I have the stats that suggest this is a low probability setup. So although you feel like it might work, chances are it's not going to. So that's the next tip, is to be conscious and to be aware of your mind going into a trade. Now, something else that we introduced that was really, really effective was walking and getting some fresh air. Now, the UK's been in lockdown for the past sort of year, global pandemic and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure you've heard about it. But, there's been no gyms, no restaurants open, no coffee shops, nothing like that. So every day has been this cycle of get to the office, stare at a screen, leave the office, go to bed, wake up, get to the office, stare at a screen, and it's just a cycle. When you're in drawdown, things can start to get pretty grey, guys. You start looking out the window and it's raining and it starts to affect you more. I remember saying to Steve, I've got tightness in my shoulder blades and in my traps and my forehead, and the weather's really getting to me. And the reason that happens is you just get stuck in this cycle and everything just starts to seem negative. So getting out, getting some fresh air, going for a walk, now I go to the gym now that the gyms are open, in mid-morning, just to break up your day, just to get out and do something physical. Now, so that'd be the other thing, is be healthy. So getting fresh air comes into this, getting some exercise comes into this, eating well. There's nothing worse if you eat, a load of fatty, greasy fast food, for example, and then sit down at your desk and you've got heartburn, you've got indigestion, headache, dry mouth, you feel tired. What use is that to anyone? Get rest, get exercise, get fresh air, eat well, stay hydrated. Having a healthy body, you will have a healthy mind. It's, if you're going through a period of drawdown and you also feel rubbish about yourself, that's not good for anyone. So feel good about yourself, feel healthy, and that'll have a direct effect on your state of mind as well. So that's the next tip. And probably, one of the next tips, or one of the last tips rather, would be look for the positives in every day, right? So that's something else Steve's, got me to do through our coaching calls, is at the end of every day, write down 3 positive things that happened. Did you meet, maybe you bumped into someone from school and you had a good catch up. Maybe, I don't know, you found out some good news, or you made a good lunch. It could be something so simple, but every single day, guys, there's so many good things happening in your life. And when you're going through a period of drawdown, I found that it can be difficult to focus on them. Especially I'm concerned about performing and being at the top of my game for the benefit of everybody else around me. So you start to just feel very, very negative very, very quickly, and you lose sight of the good things that happen in your day. So make sure to get them noted down to remind yourself of them. And so at the end of the day, you can say, well, some good stuff happened today. And pretty much the last couple of tips I would give you is stay consistent. That's got to be the most important one. Just stay consistent with what you're doing. If you know it works, understand that a winning period won't last forever, the same way a losing period won't last forever, right? So you're going through a bit of a losing period. Stay consistent in what you're doing if you know it works long term, which you'll know from your back testing and stuff. But stay consistent in what you're doing. Stick to what works. And if you have to, strip back to the basics, right? So I was trading 15 markets, trimmed that down to 9 markets, to just 8 FX and gold. So I trimmed that down, bring things back to basics. If you have to, maybe cut your risk for a period of time, but go back to basics. Don't focus on the strategies that you're testing and developing. Focus on the stuff that you know works and really dedicate time and attention to those. So, cutting my markets from 15 to 9 allowed me to get much better focus on the markets that I do trade and really focus on performing well in those markets on the basics. So yeah, stay consistent and do what works. Now, the last little tip here I would give you is don't be rocked by what other people are doing. You know, we bring on all these junior traders. I want to be at the top of my game to help motivate them, to encourage them and stuff like that. And there was a lot of stress and a lot of pressure on me to perform at my best for their benefit. And what that does is it puts you into this little bit of a negative cycle where if you have a losing week, you feel like you've let them down, and you can deal with it, but you feel like you've let them down. And then if they have losing weeks, you feel discouraged because you think it was you that's kind of, you know, not motivating them and whatever. It just becomes a cycle. At the end of the day, guys, leaders lead, you know, through good or bad. Hard times make a leader, not good times. You know, it's easy to be a good trader in the good times. It's easy to be a good teacher, a good leader in the good times. When you're going through a tough time and you're still turning up to your desk on time every morning, you're still doing the work that you have to do, you're still prepping for every trade, that will teach people more than it will when you're going through a good period and you're turning up every day and all that, because you're making money. Of course you're going to be here every day. And you're talking to some of the traders on the floor that joined around the time I went into this drawdown. They said, you know, it's been really, really good for us. What a good time it was for us to join right then when you went into that period and see you come out the back end of it. I mean, this past 4 weeks have just been excellent in the markets for me. Some really, really good weeks. You're not going to win week in, week out, guys. It's just not going to happen. But it's certainly, you know, I turned the corner very quickly when I started to implement the right processes and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, guys, you know, as much as I teach people to become consistently profitable, but I've never been a trader and ran a prop firm at the same time, and that is really where these issues stemmed from. You know, it's a completely new experience to me, and so I thought it was very, very important to share this with you, because nobody else in this, you know, hardly anybody in this space talks about these realities. And I think it could be super beneficial for you just to follow some of these tips and to see how I dealt with it. You know, I'm a real human, and as much as I'm a good trader and I make money consistently in the markets, and I've been trading full time since 2015, that doesn't mean that I'm not going to be susceptible to stresses and emotions and things happening in your life impacting your trading. But more important than that, it's how I've dealt with it. And this is what this video is to show you that it is normal. You know, don't think that you're just some anomaly that's just went from consistency to losing. It is normal, but this is how you deal with it. That's how I've dealt with it. And I hope it can be of help and of value to you. And, you know, if you are out there and you're a consistent trader and you're going through drawdown, or maybe you're a beginner and all of this stuff's completely alien to you, there's so many benefits to being part of a trading community and having, you know, people around you to support you. And so I would highly recommend, if you haven't already checked out the KB trading community, that you do so. You know, we run a community of over 490 traders. We share analysis in there daily, and, you know, all the traders kind of encourage and support one another. And it's a really positive environment for learning and development. So if you haven't checked that out, I highly suggest you do so. But anyway, guys, the last thing I would say is, if you do want to drop me a message and strike up a conversation, you can get me on Instagram at Samuel Kavanagh. For a long time I was battling with loads of fake accounts and stuff, but Instagram, you know, thankfully Instagram gave me just my name as my my Instagram handle, so hopefully that'll sort out that problem for now. But anyway, guys, if you do want to drop me a message on Instagram, feel free to do so. If you did enjoy this video, please drop it a like and consider subscribing if you haven't already. I'll catch you in the next one.